So good day everyone, especially to you Miss Jen. So for today, we're going to discuss about the planning a test and construction of table specification, or what we call the TOS, as a future educator. So before we proceed or go on to how on planning the test and construction of table specification, or the TOS, let us first know what is TOS means. So again, as I mentioned earlier, the TOS stands for table specification, or table of specification rather. So the table of specification is a plan that is prepared by a classroom teacher as a basis for its test construction, especially for a per unit test. This type of chart is a two-way chart which describes the topic to be covered by a test and the number of points. I mean number of item of or points, which will be associated with each topic. So this TOS chart, this shows the topic that will be covered on a test. This compromise the knowledge, which means that remembering the fact, terms, definition, and concept. Next is the comprehension. This is where understanding the meaning of material. This interpret, summarize, give examples, predict, and translate. The third one is the application. So this is about selecting a concept scales and urging it to solve a problem. This also compute, solve, apply, and modify and constructs. Next is the analysis. So this is about breaking materials into its parts and explaining their correlation. Next is the synthesis. This producing something original after having broken the materials, or the after analyzing the material down into its component parts. Next is the evaluation. So the evaluation is making a judgment based upon a pre-established set of criteria. Now, since we know about what is a TOS, now let's go on how on planning a test and construction of table specification. So there are five importance in planning. There are five importance in planning. Five important steps in planning for a test. So the five important steps in planning for a test are identifying test objectives, deciding on the type of the test to be prepared, preparing a table of specifications, constructing the drop items, and the last one is the tryout and validation. So let's go on first to the identifying test objectives. So the identifying of test objective is an objective test if this is it is to if it's to be comprehensive, must be the cover the various levels of the Bloom's taxonomy. So this covers the levels of the Bloom's taxonomies. So what are for example, we want to construct a test on topic subject the verb agreement and English for a grade 5 class. So the following the typical objective the student must be able to is the knowledge of the topic, comprehension, the application, analysis, synthesis, or the evaluation. So in knowledge about the topic, this is where the student identify the subject and the verb agreement in the sentence. Next, for the comprehension of the topic, it's about the student must determine the appropriate form of a verb to be used given the subject of the sentence. The third one, the application of the topic. The student must write a sentence observing the rules on the subject-verb agreement, or the topic that is given, which is the subject-verb agreement. The fourth one is the analysis. This is where the student must break down a given sentence into its subject and verb. The last one is the synthesis evaluation. So this is where the student formulate rules to be followed regarding subject-verb agreement, or regarding to the topic. So the second important step for planning for a test is deciding on the type of the test to be prepared. This is where this guide the deciding on the test to be prepared is this is the test objectives. A test objectives that guides the kind of a test that will be designed and constructed by the teacher. For instance, for the first four levels, we may want to construct a multiple choice type of test, while for the application and the judgment, we may opt to give an essay test. The third one, so the third important step of planning for a test is the preparing a table of specification or the TOS. So earlier, we defined what is a TOS. So again, a table of specification is a test map or a test map or chart that guides the teacher in constructing a test. It is ensures that there is a balance between the TOS is the guide in constructing a test that this balance the test, the LOTS and HOTS. So LOTS stands for lower order thinking skills, and those which the higher order thinking skill are the HOTS one, or what we call the HOTS. HOTS stands for the higher order thinking skills. So I'm going to show you an example of the toss or the two-way toss. So here is the two-way toss in English 5 test. So here the objectives. There's the objective, the number of class in the section, the number of items, percentage of the item, the cognitive level, the type of test, and the item placement. Okay, for the fourth one, important step for planning a test is the constructing the draft of the test item. So this is where the actual constructions of the test items follow the TOS. So as a general rule, it is advised that the actual number of items to be constructed in the draft should be double the desired number of items. The subsequent tryout and item analysis will most likely eliminate many of the constructed items in the draft. Either they are difficult or too easy or non-discriminatory. Next, the last one, important step for planning a test is the item analysis and tryout. So, the test is tried out to a group of pupils. So its purpose of this item analysis tryout is to determine the item characteristic through analysis and the characteristics of the test itself, like the validity, reliability, and the practicality. So what is here in item analysis? So in item analysis, this is where a process which examines students' response to individual test items or the questions in order for them to assess the quality of those items and of the test as a whole. So in the item analysis, it provides the following: the difficulty of the item, the discriminating power of the item, and the effective of each alternative for multiple choice type of test. So here are the benefits derived from its item analysis. So its benefit for the student is this provide useful information for class discussion of the test. Next is this where it provides the data which helps the students improve their learning. And the last and the third one provides insight and skills which lead to the construction of a better test item for future use. So those are all about the planning and test construction of a table specification. So there are 5. So the identifying test objectives. This covers the Bloom taxonomy. Deciding on the test to be prepared is where this is a guide that is made by this is a guide of test that is made by a teacher, and this consists of questions, the multiple type choice of test and a essay type of test. The third one is the preparing of a table of specification. This is where the actual making or constructions of the test that is based on the that is use that use the TOS, or this a guide in constructing a test that balance the lots and the hots. The fourth one is the constructing the draft test items. This is where the actual part of constructing a test. And the last one, the tryout and validation. So this is a test that tried out the group of people to determine its characteristic uh, through analysis and the test itself, wherein there's the validity, reliability, and practicality. So that will be all, guys. Thank you for listening. I hope you guys get some learnings from my topics. So thank you for listening, and thank you also, Ma'am Jen, for listening to my report. Thank you, guys, and have a blessed day.